So I want to talk about the actual feelings as far as being an empath. And this would be a good video for anybody that is trying to either identify if they're an empath as far as situational things, or if you know somebody in your inner circle that you've been struggling to explain some of the nuances beyond, I feel other people's emotions and their energy, and you're trying to give them a little bit more tangible talking points. So, the first thing I want to talk about is that empaths feel different things. So, there's different kinds of empaths. Some are emotional empaths, some are animal empaths, nature empaths, global empaths, etc. I'm only going to talk about emotional empaths. That's the kind of empath that I am. And I'm going to talk about how I feel in certain situations. Now, one key distinction that I'd like to make for people is that every person that is an empath will feel a lot of the same things, but there are certain situations that will make it worse or better for them, but it depends on the empath. So what I mean by this is this. A lot of people, if they go to a concert, okay, because it's music based, they are one with the flow, and so they're just really into the music, and because everybody's energy is just kind of like in the flow of the music, a lot of empaths actually are okay in a concert setting. Me, on the other hand, I don't do well in concert settings. I literally feel as if I am in the middle of the ocean. I kind of get vertigo. I feel a little bit dizzy, like I just can't get my balance. Um, the energy feels very overwhelming to me. At some points, I almost start to feel claustrophobic, even if I'm outside, right? It could be an outdoor setting, could be like at Red Rocks or something, and I will still feel overwhelmed. Even if it's a band I love and everybody there is in a happy mood, the energy just, it sets me off. And I almost kind of feel like after about an hour of that, like I'm having a little bit of a panic attack, is what'll happen. So for me, I don't do well in concert settings because the concert setting, the energy is just, it's flowing. I literally feel like a buoy in the middle of the ocean that's just doing this in the water, just back and forth all over the place. Now, if you put me in an arena, like a sports arena, okay? I grew up playing sports, and so sports is a big thing for me. And for me, my headset going into any sports arena is that I'm going to ride the emotional rainbow. And I know that going in. I know, for example, like if I go to a soccer game, I know that I'm going to feel happy and excited. I'm going to feel sad. I'm going to feel frustrated. I'm literally going to feel all the emotions on the spectrum, but I'm intentionally like building my consciousness before I ever walk in. We're going to ride the emotional rainbow. And I get excited about it. And in these moments, I actually don't feel the same way like I do at a concert. Now, for a lot of empaths, those two things would be reversed. A lot of empaths would be fine at the concert, not so good at the sports event. But I'm sure there's some that are like me. However, other settings that are complicated for me, anything like a mall, I'll walk through a mall and I will start to feel like I'm lost after about 30 minutes. Constantly feeling like I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. I feel the same way in grocery stores, big box stores like Walmart and Target, etc. I literally feel as if I'm in a maze that I can't get out of. I start to lose my focus. I start getting a little bit irritated again. when I am in other large settings, like let's say I'm walking in New York City or LA or something like that, and I'm around a lot of people, I'll get really edgy, um, uptight, tense. The energy inside me changes to where I feel like I'm getting really wound tight inside. And I'm literally trying to fend it off mentally while I'm in the moment, and I'm trying to focus on what we're doing, but the energy's bombarding me. And so I end up to people around me looking like I'm really tense and edgy and, ooh, what's wrong with her? I get pretty stressed in those situations. And what I found is that grounding obviously is important, both mentally grounding and physical grounding, and there is a difference between the two. And when I mentally ground, you can mentally ground before you leave someplace. But when you find yourself out and about with a lot of people, what happens is you'll start to lose focus about your energy because you're focused on what you're actually doing, going through. And then the next thing you know, you have the energy bombardment that's coming at you. And your mind literally starts to shift. You'll feel energetic vibrations in here, but you'll also kind of feel it with your head. Your head will kind of feel like it's like, ah. Um, Sometimes on occasion, it almost feels like, oh, here's a good one. Let's say that there's a negative vibe person. Okay, like a scary negative vibe person. Have you ever walked into a room where you've been in a room and somebody else has walked into the room and it's somebody who the bad vibes are off the charts, like next level bad vibes. Um, I've only had that happen a handful of times in my life where I literally have felt like my soul is trying to literally escape my body. Like that's how bad vibes that I've gotten from a couple people. You know, like you're literally in the presence of an absolutely horrendous soul. And I've literally felt it where I feel like I'm trying to jump out of my skin. I start closing up, not being able to breathe. I have an immediate panic attack, and everything in my head starts to overwhelm me to where it literally says, you have to leave, you have to leave, you have to leave, you have to leave, you have to leave. And it does it over and over and over and over until I leave. So even trying to concentrate on anything in that moment starts to no longer happen because my conscious mind is being like, get out, get out, get out. And that becomes the only thing that it wants me to do. It wants to get me to a safer space because it no longer feels safe in that space. So there's these little energy internal things that you feel, and a lot of other people don't understand that. You know, they perceive it from a different way of what's wrong, you know, or what happened, you know, and it's hard to describe what happened or what is happening. And it's also hard in the moment to just, you know, control it, try to, you know, get your energy under control, try to push out all of this other energy that's bombarding you, because we literally act like a magnet. And, you know, imagine that you've got two magnets, right? And you know how two sides of them click together. Let's say you've got two magnets and then a piece of wood. Now, let's say that the wood represents somebody who's not an empath. Well, the magnet has no real effect on them, right? But the magnet has a hell of a lot of effect on you. And so the person that's like the wood doesn't really understand this magnetic type attraction that's happening between you and the other magnet. Like they don't understand it because they don't have that basis for it. But that's literally what it's like. And, you know, sometimes you don't even really know what the feelings are. You know, it's not like very clear cut of, oh, I'm feeling happy or I'm feeling sad. You just know that energetically you're off. and it starts impacting your brain and how you're thinking. Now, another thing as an empath that a lot of us have the ability to do is to also control emotional energy of others. So when I'm in smaller settings, like small group settings, I have the ability to control the whole room. Okay. But that's good and bad, because I can control it from a positive way or I can control it from a negative way. When it's a negative way, because I'm in a bad mood, I have to really focus on not being in a bad mood. And by that, I'm not even talking about saying anything. I can literally not say a word, and simply the vibrations of my energy can ripple out to other people, and they just feel it. I don't know how to describe it other than that, but that's literally how it is. Now, interestingly enough, for me, I'm less impacted by other people's happy vibes. I don't really get pulled that way, and I don't really feel an influx when other people's happy vibes are going. I'm just like, oh, they're happy. But when other people are in the lower parts of the energy register, so let's say they are sad, depressed, angry, frustrated, that's when I feel it. That's when I feel the magnetic pull, and it's heavy. And so that becomes a problem. And so a lot of us empaths, we feel that. We feel a lot of that negative pull. And we're trying to combat it because we're trying to say, wait, is this me? Am I unhappy? Am I sad? And sometimes we don't even know what it is. We just know that the vibrational frequency is at a level that our body doesn't like. Body does not enjoy it. I've noticed over the last several years, since I've done a lot of healing, I got rid of a lot of anger, that now, if I were to have a moment where I get angry at somebody, I start to physically get sick. In my solar plexus, I literally feel nauseous. So I don't even like to feel the feeling of anger anymore, because it physically impacts me even more so than it used to. So there's different feelings that we feel, and depending on the situation. And, it can be tricky navigating that with other people when they're staring at you, and big eye, like, what's wrong, and you're trying to explain it, but let's say they don't get it. Let's say they don't understand it. And for some people, if they don't understand it, then they become dismissive of you because your reality is not their reality. So instead of being sympathetic, they just think you're weird, or they think you're off. It's the same way that a non-empath, when they hold crystals, look at an empath who holds in crystal and thinks that we're all like woo-woo and out of our heads. Because to them, they don't feel a change, but to us, we can feel the change. I remember the first time I held a really big crystal, and I held it for like 15 minutes straight, and I was doing nothing except for just holding it. And I remember after 15 minutes going, is this how normal people feel all the time? And it was there was a calmness inside here that I had never really felt, and I could tell the difference. But there are other people who hold crystals and they just think the rest of us are whack because they're like, didn't do nothing. But that doesn't mean that, crystals don't. We know that is inorganic matter, and we are organic matter. And we know that inorganic matter does not change the vibrational frequency, but organic matter does change vibrational frequencies. So there's different feelings that go along depending on the situation you're in. And it also depends on what the empath has as far as a comfort level. And I'm not here to say what that comfort level is for everybody. Everybody's different. But I do know that whenever I go into stores, big stores, I get lost and my brain starts to get fuzzy. It kind of feels like if your GPS navigation starts to fritz and you are trying to figure out where you're supposed to go, and you're like, reconnect satellite, and it's not connecting. In a way, that's kind of how it feels. There's almost like a fogginess that kind of descends over your brain, and you're trying to fight through it to try to kind of ease up and get that fogginess out. Whereas, when I'm in my house, I'm usually fine. There are occasions, however, that I have been in my house and I can feel a massive empath attack. And I know that there's somebody in the house either right next to me or possibly right across from me that is going through a major moment. And you can tell the difference because the first thing you have to say is, wait, what am I thinking about right now? And if you were literally thinking about, oh, I got to go take a shower, okay, then you know that was not, you're not going through your own, empath energy. You're not going through your own emotions. You know that somebody else's emotion is radiating outward and you're catching it. So that's one of the things that you can definitely do is first ask yourself, wait, what am I thinking about? Was anything I'm thinking about sad, upsetting, angry, frustrating? If the answer is no, then you know it's somebody else's energy that's coming at you. So I hope that this has helped. Definitely feel free to share this with anybody who is not an empath or who you're trying to explain the actual feelings that somebody feels in a real world scenario. And hopefully this will help them out.